There are many controversial topics that we talk about and have to decide as to whether we are for or against the topic. The topic that I will be addressing today is the topic of vaccinations, specifically childhood vaccinations and why childhood vaccinations should be mandatory. There are many myths and false information out there, and I hope that I will be able to clear them up when I talk about why parents are against vaccinations, the risks, the effectiveness of vaccinations, why we should vaccinate our children, and also what would happen if we were to stop vaccinating altogether. First off, as a parent, you have many concerns about your child's health and how to keep them healthy. Childhood vaccinations is one of them. So why do parents choose not to vaccinate their children? There are various reasons. One reason that I found was that parents are concerned with the ingredients in the vaccines. Some parents believe that there is mercury, aluminum, formaldehyde, and antifreeze in them, and they believe that the vaccines are more toxic for the children than beneficial. The truth to this is that vaccines do not specifically have mercury in them. They have a preservative in them called thimerosal that breaks down into ethyl mercury. Parents thought that the ethyl mercury would build up in their child's body, but researchers have proven that this is not true. But as a precautionary basis, they have removed this preservative from all infant vaccines since 2001. Some vaccines do contain aluminum salts, which are used to enhance. They're used as an enhancer in the vaccine. There are no long-term effects from aluminum salts, and they have been used since the 1930s. They can be found in everything on the earth and in the air. Formaldehyde is found in some vaccines, but in a very, very small trace. Your body produces more formaldehyde than what is in these vaccines. You can also ingest more formaldehyde than what is in the vaccines by just eating fruit. And lastly on the list is antifreeze. This is not an ingredient in vaccines at all. The next concern that I want to go over is why parents choose not to vaccinate their children is because of their fear of autism. Parents think that there's a link between autism and vaccinations. This is not true. This theory started in 1997 when a study was published by Andrew Wakefield. The study said that the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine was linked to children who had autism. This study was later retracted from the publishing and was discredited. Andrew Wakefield did not have any proof that there was a link. There is still no proof, and several other studies have been done since. Some parents think that natural immunity is better than immunity from vaccines. Sometimes, in occasion, natural immunity can create a stronger immunity against diseases than with vaccines. With this, though, comes very high risks. With the full-blown disease or infection comes all of the side effects and symptoms of that disease. When you are vaccinated, you are injected with a killed, weakened, or partial version of the pathogen. It is strong enough for your body to work to become immune to it, but not strong enough to make you sick. For example, when you are vaccinated from measles, you have a 99% chance of being immune to it. If you don't get vaccinated and contract measles, you will most likely have a high fever, cough, runny nose, red watery eyes. Then you will get tiny white spots inside of your mouth, and a few days later you will break out into a full-blown rash from head to toe, and your fever will spike. Also, you have a 1 in 500 chance of dying. All that could have been prevented from being vaccinated. Some parents feel that infection rates are low or non-existent in the United States, and that it is safe not to vaccinate their children. Yes, outbreaks and infection rates are low in the country now. The key word here is now. This is because of vaccines. If a parent chooses not to have their child vaccinated, they are making the choice of not only allowing their child to be vulnerable to these diseases, but also putting other people who may not be able to have vaccines in danger. People who have autoimmune issues may not be allowed to have specific vaccines. Just because this country has had low infection rates does not mean that at any given point that cannot change. Diseases that are non-existent here may very well be an epidemic somewhere else in the world. We live in a time where people travel to and from this country every day from all around the world. If we stopped vaccinating, all it would take would be for one person to be in contact and get infected and bring it back to this country to start an outbreak cross-country. The CDC states that disease rates are low today, but if we let ourselves become vulnerable by not vaccinating, a case that could touch off an outbreak of some disease that is currently under control is just a plane ride away. An example of this happened not too long ago. In 2015, a multi-state measles outbreak happened in this country. It was found to have been linked to Disney in California. When researchers tested that specific strain of measles, they found that it was the identical strain from an outbreak in the Philippines in 2014. There was also an outbreak of 383 cases, which mainly affected unvaccinated Amish community in Ohio. This strain was also connected to the strain from the Philippines. If we stopped vaccinating, then this could happen more often and with other diseases. It could also become more deadly. In the next slide, I have added a video from Penn and Teller that shows what happens when people are vaccinated versus when they are not vaccinated. In conclusion, I would like to say that yes, it is ultimately the parent's choice of whether or not to vaccinate their children. But before you make the decision, please look at all of the facts. Vaccinations are not harmful and are made to save lives. By choosing not to vaccinate, you are choosing to play roulette with not only your child's life, but lives of other innocent people. Your choices and actions might be the thing that is most harmful. Thank you.